All right, so we're back here for the final section of this presentation, which is really just us wrapping this up, kind of sharing our big takeaways. And for me, like when I went through this book multiple times, the thing that really stood out to me is like how much this book could help us deliver a better customer experience for all of our customers. And you know, the book gave some like practical ways to kind of how you can create value, which to me really speaks to that customer experience. And the number one thing it said was tell the truth, you know. And so it's super simple, but and it's amazing to me that that's a way to be different in any industry. But I think everybody that's watching this will realize like they can all recall times maybe where we've been lied to by our customers, or maybe where our customers have been lied to, whether it's by us or by other subcontractors. And so the problems that it creates. So it's like that's the number one like way he shared and how you can create value relevant to your like customer experience. Another couple of bullet points in that section were to add good stuff and subtract the bad stuff. And so I think this is creating, again, related to creating value, is finding ways to like bolster the things that are really good about like your process and how you like what experience you're delivering to the customer, but then subtracting the bad stuff. So he used some examples around the bad stuff about like, you know, we've all been in a doctor's office where we had to like wait an hour to get into the room that we're supposed to be in or whatever. So like eliminating wait times. For us, it might be more like related to lead times for submittals, or lead times for us to show up on a job site or something like that. Lead times just in our response time to people is like subtracting the bad stuff there, really being committed to like delivering that valuable customer experience. And then the last one was just surprise people, you know, surprise others. And that one was really cool to me. Is I just feel like there's a lot of ways that we can like thread into our customer experience things that would like surprise people in a good way. I guess you don't really want to surprise them in a bad way.
Avoid that.
Well, I think
avoid that at all costs.
yeah, you know, you talked about telling the truth. I mean, I think it's become so rare that right there is going to surprise customers, right?
For sure.
I think it's in the Fred Factor where he talks about if honesty didn't exist, someone would invent it as a great way of becoming rich. It makes sense, right? Attitude colors everything that we do. Inspire, don't intimidate. Like customer experience, really, attitude's a huge part of that, and being honest.
For sure.
So
It's so easy. It's not hard. Like you just tell it like it is instead of trying to come up with these reasons to explain, you know, like in a better way. But like most of the time, I feel like our customers appreciate the truth, and it's no worse than the lie.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah, and so the other big takeaway from the book for me is like how do we apply this? How do we develop others within our business? And so I think Nick had some great notes around that.
Yeah, so Sanborn uses the acronym FRED, obviously, to explain how to develop FREDs. The first one, F, for find. Let FREDs find you, our company, discover the inner FRED that hasn't blossomed, or recruit and hire FREDs. So I think Kevin's really good about whenever you're doing your interviews, like really being what this book wants you to be, and people, like it's contagious and they want to work here because of it. And like we need to do that to recruit the best people. And again, it's contagious, so they're probably going to be like that if they want to work here. So
right, yeah, and that's a great way to attract that talent and get them here. But if you want Freds, if you want people that go the extra mile to stay here, you have to create an environment that attracts them here. And a lot of that starts with identifying Freds out on the floor, identifying people that go the extra mile, really, and that's what it is for us. It says something in the book about discovering talent is sometimes nothing more than uncovering talent. Like I know we see people go the extra mile here all the time. We have those people here. What you don't want is attract someone in the interview by being a Fred, by being enthusiastic and energetic and positive, and then their day one when they're not around you, it's super negative, not the environment we promised.
yeah,
Sure.
And I think that's something we're doing really good at. But, you know, I'm hoping people want to read this book, hoping people take what we're trying to bring to light from it and want to project that in their daily environment, because that's what creates the environment where people want to come work for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly. And then the R stands for reward. I think we've really built that around our recognition in Salesforce like that. I would love to hear like people give me credit or recognize me there. I think like by doing that, we're creating that reward aspect. So
Yeah, I think it says like you can't demand, pay, beg people to be friends to go the extra mile, right? It's the behavior you reward, the behavior
Yeah.
you recognize is what people are going to do.
Yeah.
So we can't. It's a pull, not a push.
Mhm.
Talks about it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
lead by example, demonstrate this, and people will see what's valuable to you. Like the worst thing you could do was hand this book out to your staff and then not demonstrate these
Yeah,
values
exactly.
in your, like they're going to read it, get invigorated to do it, and then it's going to just disappear because you're not demonstrating it. So we focus on what's important to our boss, right? So if our boss hands this book to us but doesn't really do it, like that's where it dies.
For sure.
The E is for educate, and kind of doing that here. We're educating as many people as we can about like being a Fred, how to be a Fred, and the goals that like how it's going to help us as a company.
And the recognition page is also a great way
Yeah.
to do that, right? People see how other people are going the extra mile.
Mhm.
I think it's so powerful when you share examples of what that's like. That's why the recognition page exists, was for us to be able to show examples of what these core values mean. Because sometimes just explaining them, it's not good enough. Like there's not enough meat there for people to apply like that core value to their everyday life, whether it's here or at home. And so yeah, it's in a big way the recognition page exists so that we have examples of what they mean. And I think that was a very helpful part of the book, is just kind of seeing like those other Fred sightings. So
Which is evidence as to why, like, our core values aren't for marketing purposes. They're not for our customers. They're for the employees.
Right.
And the recognition page is a great way to demonstrate that, right? We're
Absolutely.
not sharing it. It's internal only. It's
Yeah.
not going out to anyone else. It's for us.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that the more books and studies we've done, like in this group, like they keep popping up there, which kind of just reinforces that they're really, like it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And that they're the right core values.
for sure.
Um,
So you want to give them the D?
Demonstrate. And this is kind of what Kevin was saying before, like you can't just give this book to people and say, hey, read this and do it if you're not doing it yourself. So it's contagious, it's starts at the top, but also like it goes all the way down. And if you demonstrate it, other people are going to do it as well.
Creates that ripple effect.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other part of this that I really kind of honed in on was some strategies or for interviewing in the hiring process, like some good questions to ask candidates to try to pull the Fred out of them, you know. One of the ones that I liked the most was like, there's some basic ones like sharing, 3 things that would delight you most in like in customer when you're a customer or and what you do for clients or other consumers. Like that's pretty basic, but I think one great question is like asking what is service, like helping candidates, like putting candidates in a position to try to define what that is for them. And I think a lot of those things kind of get flushed out, like they'll probably share experiences that they've had that like represent service. And so I think it's just really highlighting how important it is to have good examples of that for people. But and then there's also questions that you should ask yourself about candidates. And the thing that really stood out to me there was like, what's the most extraordinary thing he or she has ever done? And that's something you should be seeking to gain like out of the interview. Like there should be some story that they're able to tell with like a high degree of passion that kind of represents like what they've done that was extraordinary. So, so I think that like really wraps up, concludes like what we wanted to share in terms of big takeaways. And I just want to leave you with one final quote from the book, which was, when you don't see much meaning in what you do, you won't bring much value to what you do.